Have you ever wondered why some people seem to see through you instantly, while others never truly understand who you are? Why certain individuals can read your emotions like an open book, while you remain a mystery to yourself? The ancient Taoist masters knew something profound about human perception that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. They discovered that the soul reveals itself not through grand gestures or elaborate masks, but through the smallest, most unconscious movements of our being. Today, we will explore 18 timeless Taoist truths that unlock this ancient wisdom of soul reading, teachings that have guided sages for thousands of years in understanding the deepest essence of every person they encounter. In our world of digital facades and carefully curated personas, the ability to perceive someone's true nature has become both more challenging and more essential than ever before. We live behind screens, filters, and social expectations that create layers upon layers of protection around our authentic selves. Yet the Taoist tradition teaches us that the soul cannot be hidden, that it speaks through channels we rarely think to observe. These 18 principles will transform how you see others and, perhaps more importantly, how you see yourself. They are not mere observations, but practical wisdom that connects you to the universal flow of human understanding that the Taoists called the Tao itself. The journey of soul recognition begins with understanding that every human interaction is an opportunity for profound discovery. When we learn to look beyond the surface performance that most people present to the world, we begin to perceive the deeper currents of energy, intention, and consciousness that move through every person we encounter. The Taoist masters spent lifetimes developing this capacity for inner seeing, and they discovered that certain universal patterns reveal themselves consistently across all human experience. The first truth reveals itself in the quality of a person's silence. Watch how someone inhabits the quiet moments between conversations. The Taoist masters taught that silence is never empty, but filled with the essence of who we truly are. A person comfortable with genuine silence carries deep roots within themselves. They do not rush to fill every pause with words, because they understand that presence itself is communication. Their silence feels spacious and peaceful, like standing beside a still mountain lake. In contrast, someone who fears silence, who immediately deflects or distracts when conversation lulls, often struggles with their own inner voice. They have not yet learned to befriend the deeper aspects of their nature. Notice how people breathe in quiet moments, how their bodies settle or tense, how their eyes focus or dart away. The soul speaks most clearly when the mind stops its constant chatter. This quality of silence reveals whether someone has found friendship with themselves or remains uncomfortable in their own presence. The second truth appears in how someone treats those who can do nothing for them. This ancient Taoist principle cuts through all social pretense to reveal character in its rawest form. Watch someone interact with a child who interrupts their important conversation, with an elderly person moving slowly in their path, with a server bringing their food, with someone asking for directions on the street. Do they maintain the same warmth and respect they show to influential people? Or does their demeanor shift subtly, revealing layers of calculation beneath their social grace? The Tao flows equally through all beings, and those who truly understand this treat everyone as an expression of the same universal consciousness. Their kindness is not performance, but natural expression of their inner alignment with the way of nature itself. Someone whose courtesy depends on what others can offer them has not yet discovered the abundance that comes from genuine compassion. The third truth emerges through observing what genuinely makes someone laugh. Laughter is perhaps the most honest expression of the human soul because it bypasses our carefully constructed defenses. Someone who laughs at others' misfortunes or finds joy in clever cruelty reveals a heart that has grown distant from compassion. But watch for the person whose laughter bubbles up at life's gentle absurdities, who can find humor in their own mistakes, who delights in innocent play. Their laughter connects them to the childlike wonder that Taoism sees as essential to wisdom. The quality of someone's laughter tells you whether they move through the world with hardness or softness, whether they have maintained connection to the joy that flows naturally when we align with the Tao. Notice too whether someone can laugh at themselves without self-deprecation, finding genuine amusement in their human imperfections without harsh judgment. The fourth truth manifests in how people respond to unexpected difficulties. When life throws its inevitable curveballs, when plans fall apart or technology fails or weather changes everything, notice who becomes the eye of the storm. and who becomes the storm itself. The Taoist principle of Wu Wei, or effortless action, teaches us to flow like water around obstacles rather than crashing against them with rigid force. Someone who maintains inner calm during external chaos has learned to distinguish between what they can and cannot control. They adapt fluidly, finding creative solutions instead of demanding that reality conform to their expectations. Their soul has learned the fundamental lesson that resistance creates suffering, while acceptance creates freedom. Watch how someone breathes when plans change suddenly, how their voice changes when technology fails, how their body language shifts when unexpected demands arise. Right now, think about someone in your life who seems to understand you without explanation. What is it about them that creates this feeling of being truly seen? Take a moment and write in the comments something like this: I feel most understood when people notice my need for quiet reflection, or I feel most understood when people see my struggle with perfectionism. Your experience matters, and sharing it helps others realize they are not alone in their deepest longings to be known and accepted. Let us continue this journey of discovery together. The fifth truth reveals itself through the relationship someone maintains with their own mistakes. The Taoist path emphasizes learning and growth over perfection, understanding that the Tao itself expresses through constant change and adaptation. Someone who can acknowledge their errors without defensive explanations, who treats their mistakes as teachers rather than evidence of inadequacy, demonstrates profound inner security. They do not need to maintain an image of infallibility because their self-worth comes from something deeper than external validation. Conversely, someone who cannot admit fault, who always has explanations that place responsibility elsewhere, reveals a soul that has not yet found its own center. Their energy goes toward protecting their image rather than toward genuine growth and connection. Notice how someone responds when they forget an appointment, make a wrong turn, or misunderstand something important. Their reaction reveals whether they have made peace with human imperfection or still battle against it. The sixth truth appears in what someone notices about the natural world around them. The Taoist masters saw nature as the great teacher, the clearest expression of the Tao in action. Someone who observes the way light changes throughout the day, who notices when flowers begin to bloom or birds change their songs with the seasons, maintains connection to the larger rhythms of existence. Their awareness extends beyond human drama to include the vast intelligence that moves through all living systems. They understand intuitively that we are not separate from nature, but expressions of it. Their soul remains open to wonder and wisdom that comes from sources beyond human thinking. Watch whether someone notices the moon phases, feels restless before storms, or comments on how trees look different in various seasons. These observations reveal a consciousness that has not become completely divorced from its natural origins. The seventh truth emerges through how someone handles compliments and praise. Watch carefully what happens when someone receives genuine appreciation. Do they deflect uncomfortably, unable to receive the gift being offered? Do they immediately minimize their contribution or redirect attention elsewhere? Or perhaps they absorb praise with entitled expectation, as if admiration is their natural due. The balanced soul neither rejects nor grasps at external validation. They can receive compliments gracefully while maintaining perspective about their true source of worth. Their response reveals whether they have found inner stability or remain dependent on others for their sense of value. Notice the energy in someone's voice when they say thank you for praise, whether their body opens or contracts, whether they can hold eye contact or need to look away. The eighth truth shows itself in someone's relationship with time. The Taoist understanding recognizes that true time moves differently from clock time, that presence can expand moments into eternities, while distraction can collapse hours into fleeting instants. Someone who moves through their day with mindful attention, who can give their full presence to whatever task or person requires it, has learned to align with natural time rather than fighting against it. They do not rush through experiences to get to the next thing, but inhabit each moment fully. Their soul has found the peace that comes from accepting the pace of life rather than demanding it move faster or slower than it naturally does. Watch how someone eats a meal, whether they savor each bite or consume mechanically while thinking about other things. Notice whether they can have a conversation without checking their phone, whether they walk at a pace that allows them to notice their surroundings. The ninth truth manifests through what happens to someone's energy in different environments. Some people drain the life from a room, while others seem to raise the vibration simply by being present. The Taoist principle teaches that we are constantly exchanging energy with our surroundings, and someone who has cultivated inner harmony naturally contributes to the harmony around them. Notice who you feel lighter around and who leaves you feeling depleted. Someone whose presence feels nourishing has learned to maintain their connection to the Tao, even in challenging circumstances. Their inner state remains relatively stable, regardless of external conditions, and this stability becomes a gift to everyone they encounter. Pay attention to how your own energy shifts in different people's presence, how your breathing changes, how your thoughts become clearer or more scattered. The 10th truth appears in how someone approaches learning something completely new. Do they dive in with beginner's mind, curious and open to making mistakes? Or do they resist the vulnerability that comes with not knowing, perhaps avoiding new challenges altogether to maintain their sense of competence? The Taoist path emphasizes the wisdom of not knowing, the understanding that true learning requires emptying the cup of our assumptions to make space for fresh understanding. Someone who can embrace the beginner state reveals a soul that remains flexible and growing rather than rigid and defended. Watch how someone responds when they must ask for help, when they encounter technology they do not understand, when they find themselves in unfamiliar social situations. Their willingness to be vulnerable in service of learning reveals their relationship with growth and change. The 11th truth reveals itself through someone's relationship with their own emotions. The Taoist teaching suggests that emotions are like weather patterns, natural phenomena that arise and pass away without needing to define our entire landscape. Someone who can feel their feelings fully without being overwhelmed by them, who neither suppresses nor drowns in their emotional experience, has learned the art of inner balance. They do not judge themselves harshly for having difficult emotions, nor do they use their emotions to manipulate others. Their soul has found the space between reaction and response, the freedom that comes from witnessing their inner experience without being enslaved by it. Notice how someone moves through disappointment, how they express anger without destroying relationships, how they share joy without needing others to match their excitement exactly. The 12th truth emerges through what someone finds beautiful. Beauty perception reveals soul orientation more clearly than almost anything else because it bypasses rational analysis to touch something deeper. Someone who finds beauty in simple things, in the play of shadows on a wall or the determined growth of a weed through concrete, has maintained connection to the wonder that flows through ordinary life. Their aesthetic appreciation extends beyond conventional standards to include the wild, imperfect, and unexpected forms that beauty takes when it expresses through natural processes. Their soul remains open to surprise and delight in the midst of everyday experience. Listen to what someone calls beautiful. Notice what makes their eyes light up, what causes them to pause and really look at something with attention and appreciation. The 13th truth shows itself in how someone handles being alone with themselves. The Taoist tradition emphasizes solitude as essential for cultivating inner wisdom, time when we can hear the quiet voice of our deeper nature beneath the noise of daily concerns. Someone who enjoys their own company, who can spend time alone without immediately reaching for distraction or entertainment, has developed friendship with their inner landscape. They do not fear what they might discover in the silence because they have made peace with all aspects of themselves. Their solitude feels generative rather than empty, a time for renewal and connection to Source. Watch how someone responds to unexpected free time, whether they can sit quietly without stimulation, whether they seem to draw energy from solitude or become restless and anxious when left with only their own thoughts for company. The 14th truth appears in someone's relationship with change and uncertainty. Life constantly shifts and transforms, and the Taoist way teaches that our happiness depends on learning to flow with this natural movement rather than resisting it. Someone who can navigate transitions with relative grace, who maintains perspective during uncertain times, has aligned their soul with the fundamental nature of existence itself. They understand that change is not something happening to them, but the very medium through which life expresses. Their security comes not from external stability, but from trust in their ability to adapt and grow with whatever circumstances arise. Notice how someone responds to unexpected news, how they handle job changes, relationship shifts, health challenges, or any other disruptions to their familiar patterns. Their flexibility reveals their level of inner security. The 15th truth reveals itself through how someone treats their own body. The Taoist tradition sees the body as a sacred vessel, a temporary home for consciousness that deserves respect and care. Someone who listens to their body's signals, who honors its needs for rest and movement and nourishment without extremes of neglect or obsession, has learned to inhabit their physical form with wisdom. They understand the intimate connection between physical well-being and spiritual clarity. Their approach to their body reflects their overall relationship with the material world, whether they see it as friend or enemy, ally or obstacle. Watch how someone moves through space, how they respond to physical discomfort, whether they push through exhaustion or honor their need for rest, whether they nourish themselves with attention or consume mindlessly. The 16th truth emerges through what someone does when they think no one is watching. This reveals character in its most natural state, when the performing self relaxes and authentic patterns emerge. Do they maintain the same integrity when accountability seems absent? Do they treat their environment with the same care whether others will notice or not? The soul's true nature appears when social expectations recede and we act from our deepest patterns and values. Someone whose private behavior aligns with their public principles has achieved the integration that the Taoist path seeks to cultivate. While we cannot always observe this directly, we can sense it in the consistency of someone's energy, the absence of performance in their presence, the way they remain essentially the same person, regardless of the social context. The 17th truth manifests through how someone approaches conflict and disagreement. The Taoist way emphasizes harmony without uniformity, the possibility of maintaining peace while honoring different perspectives. Someone who can engage with opposing viewpoints without becoming defensive or aggressive, who seeks understanding before seeking to be understood, demonstrates emotional and spiritual maturity. They do not need everyone to agree with them because their sense of worth does not depend on being right. Their soul has found the confidence that comes from inner knowing rather than external validation. Watch how someone's voice changes when challenged, how their body language shifts during disagreement, whether they can hold space for multiple truths simultaneously or need to collapse complexity into simple right and wrong categories. The 18th and final truth appears in someone's relationship with mystery and the unknown. Life contains vastness that exceeds human comprehension, and the Taoist tradition teaches that wisdom begins with acknowledging what we cannot know or control. Someone who can rest comfortably in uncertainty, who does not need to have explanations for everything or answers to every question, has touched something eternal within themselves. They understand that the most profound truths often cannot be captured in words, but must be lived and experienced directly. Their soul remains open to wonder and revelation that comes from sources beyond rational understanding. Notice how someone responds to questions they cannot answer, to experiences that defy explanation, to the great mysteries of existence that humble all human knowledge. These 18 truths offer us a way of seeing that penetrates beneath surface appearances to touch the eternal essence that moves through every person we encounter. They remind us that soul recognition is not a mystical ability reserved for special people, but a natural capacity that awakens when we learn to see with the eyes of the Tao itself. In a world that often feels divided and disconnected, this ancient wisdom offers a path back to the recognition of our shared humanity. The understanding that every person we meet is another expression of the same universal consciousness that moves through our own hearts. When we begin to practice this deeper seeing, we discover that the people around us become far more interesting and complex than we ever imagined. The colleague who seemed boring reveals depths of quiet wisdom. The neighbor who appeared judgmental shows unexpected compassion in small gestures. The family member who frustrated us displays courage in their daily struggles that we had never noticed. This shift in perception changes not only how we understand others, but how we move through the world, bringing us into alignment with the Taoist teaching that everything is interconnected, that we are all waves in the same ocean of consciousness. The practice of soul-seeing also transforms our relationship with ourselves. As we become more skilled at recognizing the deeper patterns that reveal authentic nature in others, we naturally develop the same awareness about our own unconscious expressions. We begin to notice our own relationship with silence, our treatment of those who cannot help us, the quality of our laughter, our responses to difficulty. This self-awareness becomes a path to greater authenticity and inner harmony. Remember that developing this capacity for deep seeing takes time and practice. The Taoist masters devoted years to cultivating this wisdom, understanding that true perception develops gradually through patient attention and compassionate observation. Start with one or two of these truths and practice noticing them throughout your day. Allow yourself to be surprised by what you discover about the people in your life when you learn to look beneath the surface of their social personas. When we learn to see souls rather than just personalities, When we recognize the deeper currents that flow beneath the surface of human behavior, we discover that we are never really strangers to anyone we meet. We are all expressions of the same source, temporarily separated but eternally connected. This recognition transforms not only how we understand others, but how we understand ourselves, revealing that the journey to know another soul deeply is always simultaneously a journey home to our own deepest nature. If this exploration of ancient Taoist wisdom has resonated with you, if you recognize yourself in these patterns or see new possibilities for understanding the people in your life, please consider subscribing to our channel. We are building a community of seekers who understand that true wisdom comes not from accumulating information, but from developing the eyes to see what has always been present. Each week, we explore teachings from the great spiritual traditions that offer practical guidance for living with greater awareness and compassion. Your subscription tells us that this work matters to you and encourages us to continue sharing these timeless insights that can transform how we move through the world. Hit that like button if these 18 truths have opened new doors of perception for you, and share this video with someone who might benefit from this ancient wisdom. Together, we can rediscover the art of truly seeing and being seen, of recognizing the sacred within the ordinary, and of living from the deep wellspring of wisdom that flows through every moment of our lives.